Welcome. I'm the Lovely Ray, and I'm delighted to spend a little time with you today. I was born and raised in the U.S., but over the past few years, I've been fortunate enough to spend some time chatting online with people from all over the world, thanks to a little website called Cambly. I don't have any strong opinions about the Cambly English learning platform, but my conversations with folks from other countries has left me with a lot to think about. So, in this podcast, I thought I'd share a little with you and maybe we can keep the conversation going. Warning, this podcast is about stripping down and having real conversations. So, if you're looking for someone to dress things up, well, as the old saying goes, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. I save my lipstick for the stage, dearest, and dressing up for the bedroom. I do not dress up my conversations with friends. So, I'd love to have a chat. As I'm recording this, it's February 28th, 2025. And on this day in the United States, there's a little movement happening online. It's been trending on social media and talked about in the news, how people are going to boycott the current presidential administration by not shopping. Now, there's a part of me that finds this a little silly. I mean, after all, if you can go a day without buying what you don't need, shouldn't we really be shopping when we actually need things? But listen, it's 2025, and most of us are accustomed to shopping when we see something on sale or there's something in our social media feed. Most of us find that we need something once we see it. Yeah. Companies have spent billions of dollars hiring really smart people to create ways to convince us that we need to have whatever the latest thing is right in that moment. However, I'm not going to laugh at this movement. I'm not going to laugh at this desire to not shop because, frankly, I do find it more impactful than taking to the streets and wearing a sign that says, hey, I don't like what you're doing, or you're not my president. We can all have these thoughts and feelings, but in the social media age, with the way technology is, these things capture the attention of cameras for only a few moments, at best an hour. And then by the next day, sometimes the same day, those things are gone from the news cycle. All of that effort for such little results. Now, when you tell me, hey, Ray, let's not shop for a day, I'm all in. But I want to go beyond just a day. I want to go to say, let's shift things culturally. Let's shift things within our individual families, in our communities. Let's not shop when we don't need it. Okay, so I mentioned that I'm based in the U.S., and convenience is a big thing in this country. Now, with this movement, I took a moment to go ahead and look at what are some companies that have rolled back their DEI initiatives and maybe had a lot of mass firings recently. And how can I no longer contribute to their pockets? And I was actually pleasantly surprised to see majority of those companies I either didn't shop at or I'd already canceled my participation with them, looking at you, Meta. Or they were companies that I visited very rarely. Hey, here's looking at you, Target. And so cutting these companies out of my life just wouldn't be a problem. But I'm not going to lie. There was one company that I said to myself, oh dear, I don't shop with that company as much as I used to. But with my travels, I've recently found myself being saved by their very convenient offerings. And I had to do a little soul searching and a little internet searching. And thankfully, I figured out, yes, for personal reasons, in my personal life, I can give up Amazon. Yeah. So some of my friends had given up Amazon probably a decade ago. And they had warned me, Ray, they shut down small businesses. But I said, dearest, look at all of the small businesses that are reaching new customers worldwide thanks to Amazon. And so there's a little back and forth. But right now, for me, Amazon will be on pause until I see some truly wonderful things happening with that company. With that being said, as I record this, I think to myself, do I still invest in Amazon? I'm going to have to take a look at that after this podcast. But I will say, I am the type of person who likes to put my money where my mouth is. And so I did dump my Tesla stock a couple of years ago, the last time Elon Musk did something that was truly stupid and truly detrimental to society. This man has a history of running through companies and harming them, harming people, causing chaos and destruction. And if you look at his personal life, and you could say, Ray, what people do behind closed doors is their business, and I don't really disagree, Darlene. However, I do have to be mindful of who I support and how I support them. After all, Jeffrey Dahmer, didn't he eat people behind closed doors? And yet, would you not judge me if I were supporting a Jeffrey Dahmer product or service? Yes, I'm careful. However, today, I was fortunate enough to talk to some friends in other countries. More specifically, I was chatting with some friends in Turkey and some friends in Norway. And I got to thinking, I was just fascinated when they told me how in Turkey there seems to be an increase in shopping, kind of adopting the Western ways, in part due to social media. And I found myself going, what a shame. What a shame that young people in Turkey might be taking actions to mirror Western ways, whereas here I am in a Western country, wishing that my country was taking actions to adopt more traditional Turkish ways. The idea of spending the weekend with a family member, cooking with them. Oh, this, my dears, just sounds truly delightful. And yet, here I am, only seeing my own family once every few years. Okay, well, last year I do think I should get a little pat on the back because I hadn't seen my mother in 7 years, and last year I saw her 4 or 5 times. I think that's a bit of an achievement, wouldn't you? Okay, maybe it doesn't win me an award for Daughter of the Year, but it must count for something. I do hope it does. Now, speaking of Mommy Dearest, she does love to shop. In fact, shopping was a childhood memory of mine. Well, some kids went to, say, Yosemite or Disneyland. Some kids went to Paris. Some kids would spend all summer at their local Y. But what did I get to do? Family vacation time. Family vacation time meant shopping. I remember one time my mother booked us a hotel room across the street from the mall, and I had a blast because we got to go shopping all weekend long. Now, if you are someone who enjoys shopping, you might think, what an amazing idea. I'm going to go book a trip like that for my family or book a trip like that for myself. But, dearest, hold on. While that trip was fun, and I do think it was a way for Mommy to get even with her husband, who was trying to control her spending and control her money. And let's face it, dear, he was just trying to control her. There's a fine balance that parents are always struggling to strike when it comes to the lessons that they want to teach their children. On one hand, I learned the lesson of, hey, sometimes you need to treat yourself. And creating memories can be done locally. You don't have to jump on a plane and go to another country. You don't have to get in a car and drive for hours to stare at dry, barren land or be amazed by great big geysers. You could take something that you've done 1,000,001 times, something that might seem so mundane and routine, and you can put a little sparkle on it, jazz it up, turn it around, and create something new, something more fabulous, something more memorable. That's one of the lessons I learned from that trip. I also learned that credit cards can be a lot of fun. Now, I actually do not think poorly of my mother for that trip. In fact, I thought it was truly creative, and I still love her for it till this day. Though, my only concern is I find myself wagging a finger at her every time she mentions she has purchased something else because it was on sale. And I think, oh, mother, really? Did you really need another silver dress? Don't you already own 6 of them? Sometimes it's fun being fashionable. And yet, being fashionable and having the convenience of purchasing fashion whenever you want it, having the convenience of purchasing food whenever you want it in this westernized country, well, it does come at a price, doesn't it? Yes, but this comes as no surprise to you, my dearest. And so, with this in mind, knowing that convenience can be a game changer, it can be a lifesaver when you think about living somewhere, maybe your car broke down, or maybe you don't have a car. I mean, after all, it was only a few months ago that I was in El Sobrante, California, without a car. The buses were operating slower than ideal and not at a schedule that was friendly for my availability. And lo and behold, I did not have groceries. So I could either rearrange my day, jump on a bus, and trek an hour to the nearest grocery store that would have the kind of groceries I need. Darlings, I do not eat just anything. I cannot just put anything into this body of mine. It takes a lot of work to stay lovely. Or I could, with a click of a button, go online, put some items into my shopping cart, and voila, have my groceries delivered. Someone else is doing the shopping for me while I'm online working. I have to say that convenience was quite lovely. And so, even though I've been reunited with my car, I do have to ask myself, the next time I'm faced with that challenge of not having the convenience of shopping when I want, what will I do? I mean, after all, didn't I just decide to boycott Amazon? And so, friends, what would you do? How do we break these habits of ours, habits of shopping and buying what we seem to need, or is it want? How do we break these habits and take just a little more time to do whatever it is we feel we ought to do, as opposed to opting for that convenience? I don't begrudge anyone who wants a little convenience in their life. I mean, hey, if you are able to order takeout 7 days a week, 3 times a day, and have it delivered to you on a silver platter, then where's the fault in that? And yet, as I think this through, I say to myself, well, if one can have that type of convenience, maybe it's worth looking at, could I empower one person by having them prepare my meals? And you might be going, oh, Ray, that's a lovely idea, but a private chef, really? I mean, that's quite expensive. Though, my friends, when I think about that delivery order, let's just rest there for a moment. When I think about that delivery order, I think of, well, you are helping empower and employ the chef, the restaurant owner, the person who goes ahead and takes orders over the phone or greets people in person or cleans the floor and keeps the place meeting health standards, or the person who packs the orders, the person who delivers those orders, the company that makes the products that will allow your food to be delivered to you nice and hot. Even the farmers who grow the produce. You are empowering a lot of people every time you order. And yet, would you not empower a lot of people if you took a moment? I won't lie, dearest. If it took me an hour to figure out how to readjust my Amazon life, it might take you an hour, possibly more, possibly less, to figure out how much do you spend on takeout. Yeah, I know, it's wild. You might be surprised how much you spend on takeout. How much do you spend on eating out? Now, if you love eating out, darling, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not here to judge that. So, let's go back and just focus on takeout. Let's just zero in. Yeah. So, if you look at it, maybe you're spending $30 a day. But let's face it, darling, if you're in a big city like, say, New York or San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, you know very well you can easily spend $50 a day eating out and not even have the best of the best meals, right? I mean, think about it. So, $50 a day, 30 days a week. Yeah. Now, you could take a moment and just do a little search online. Part-time private chef, part-time cook, part-time meal prep. Maybe there's a meal prep service that you can just have all the food delivered to you and all you have to do is heat it up. Or maybe that same amount of money could be spent on empowering one person to come by to your place or even just deliver to you some pre-packaged delicious meals. Maybe they do it daily. Maybe they do it weekly. They can do it as often as you want. It's wild, isn't it, when we think about all of the options we have, at least in this westernized world we call the United States. Now, I confess, I haven't lived in Turkey, and so this level of convenience, I don't know how easy it would be to find someone. But I suspect with a little hard work, a little research, one could. I mean, darlings, when I was living in New York City, I remember doing some research, and I found out about a lovely group of ladies, grandmothers, nonas they were called, who would take turns cooking meals in sort of a makeshift restaurant. And anyone could go to this place on Staten Island and have Nona cook for them. Oh, what a wonderful idea. It gave these grandmothers something to look forward to, something to enjoy, because they missed being able to cook for their own families, and they loved cooking. Maybe their own kids were now grown up and too busy. Maybe many of their friends and family members had passed away and there was no need for these large meals. But these recipes that were destined to die with them were now touching the hearts and lives of strangers. The community that was to have been felt and built. Oh, it did delight me to think about this. But look around. I mean, I suppose if I were living in a country where there was less convenience, but I was also spending a lot on convenience, I could still look around and see, is there someone that I could empower? Is there a kid who needs a little money after school? Maybe that kid could come on over and he could cut my lawn, because I don't want to. Or maybe he could walk my dog because I'm so busy working. Or maybe he could go ahead and make a batch of smoothies for me for like the next 2 days. He puts everything in a blender, blends it up, pours it into cups, puts it in my fridge, and on the counter he'll find the money that I've left for him. Oh, I bet you that kid would love that job. Oh, I bet you that Nona would love to go ahead and make a few meals that could be put in my fridge and that I could go ahead and heat up when I'm ready. Oh, I bet you there might be a neighbor just across the hall who already makes tons of food for their family and might be willing to make a meal for me. And all they have to do is just leave it right in front of my door daily. And all I have to do is just leave them some money. How convenient. I will share that one of my friends in Turkey, he and his wife and daughter have been living apart for over a year. They decided as a family they wanted their daughter to go to a different school in a different town. And in order to do so, it meant that the father would stay in one city and the mother and daughter would stay in the next. Now, darlings, don't get any wrong ideas. This man loves his family, and I truly love talking to him. It's been a while to listen to, but every week on schedule, he drives anywhere from 1 to 3 hours to spend the weekend with his family, and he makes the same trek back every Sunday night or Monday morning. They have been doing this for almost 2 years now, and it works for their family, and vice versa. The mother and daughter will once a month make a trip to the city he lives in, and everyone is together, and this family is so happy, and it makes me so happy just hearing about how connected they are. But you might be going, well, Ray, this is lovely, but why on earth? I mean, what on earth does this have to do with convenience? Hold on, my dearest, because his neighbor right across the hall brings him dinner every night at the exact same time. You see, the neighbors felt a little sorry that his wife would be gone and were worried that he might not get nutritious meals if he were left to cook on his own. And so, just like family, his neighbor delivers a meal a day when they know he's home. Oh, how wonderful, how delightful. Oh, it makes me want to do it like the Turkish do, because I find that truly inspirational. And all this, I believe, is as well an exchange of money. And so if we want to go ahead and apply a little financial incentive. We could say one thing that you or I could do in order to keep our lives convenient is to look at where are we putting our money? Why are we putting it there? And how can we do it differently? Yes. Well, thanks for chatting with me, darling. If you'd like to keep this conversation going, I would love an opportunity to tell you about a time when I found myself needing something, but I was also on a date. Oh, I must have scared that poor boy, taking him to all these various sex shops in New York City. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on ways that we can reduce convenience, or rather, not reduce convenience, but reduce our reliance on companies that don't present or support policies that we believe in. I don't know. Do you think this not shopping thing is good? Come let me know. Let's chat.